So these are words in context questions on the SAT. This is the highest scored concept on the SAT. It's worth 141 total points on the SAT. It is not even close to the most important one to do well on. So, how we'll approach the words in context questions today. First, we're going to look at how to identify these questions. Second, we're going to build a formula to solve words in context questions. Step 3, solve a practice question. As always, the formula is the key here, so we understand how to do all these questions. So first, how to identify. They start each reading module every time. So the first questions on every single reading module are going to be words in context questions. That's an easy way to know which ones are which. And also, these are just vocab questions. They're giving you 4 word options, and you have to know the meaning of the words to fit it into the context. And the question is going to be a passage, and then it's always going to say which choice completes the text with the most logical and precise word or phrase. So here's our formula for the words in context. And remember, these will always work on these passages, just like how you'd use a formula for an area of a triangle or a volume of a sphere. They're always going to be the same. First, step 1. We're not going to look at the answers. Don't get distracted by them. We're first because we want to predict something. So step 2, we're going to read the passage looking for clues. Step 3, we're going to fill in the blank with our own guess. So this is why it's important not to look at the answers so they don't try and trick you. You're going to guess the word that should fit there, and then you're going to find the answer that looks very similar and works just like you guessed it. So let's try with an actual question. Step 1, remember, ignore these answers. Now we're going to go to the next one. 2, former astronaut Ellen Ochoa says that although she doesn't have a definite idea of when it might happen, she blank that humans will someday need to be able to live in other environments than those found on Earth. This conjecture informs her interest in future research missions to the moon. So, we read the passage, and now we're going to read it one more time, and we're actually going to look for clues. And just so you didn't cheat, I removed the answer questions so we don't get distracted by those. Let's read this again and actually look for clues. Former astronaut Ellen Ochoa says that although she doesn't have a definite idea, so this is something helpful. She doesn't have a definite idea. She's not sure of when it would happen. She blanks that humans will someday need to be able to live in other environments than those found on Earth. So essentially she's talking about something that's going to happen in the future and what she thinks about that thing. This conjecture informs her interest in future research missions to the moon. So she's interested in it. She wants to participate in this. This is good information to have. So here's the main clues that I found in this passage. She doesn't have a definite idea, and she has interest in future missions of the moon. Okay. So now let's try to give a word here. So she's not sure about it. So she maybe doubts that humans will someday need to be able to live in other environments than those found on Earth. Or it seems she thinks it's likely. So because she has an interest in doing future research missions to the moon to get humans off Earth. So maybe she predicts it will. So predicts might work well. So let's go with the word predicts. And now after here, we can look at the answers and find one that's similar to predicts. So, which choice completes the text with the most logical and precise word or phrase? Demands. This seems wrong as she doesn't have a definite idea. So she's not sure about it. She's not demanding it. Speculates seems pretty good, right? Speculates, predicts. It's not a negative version of something she's thinking about in the future that she's not sure of. C, doubts. So once again, it doesn't seem like she's doubting it, because although she doesn't have a definite idea when it might happen, it seems that she does think it's going to happen at some point. Or establishes. Once again, she doesn't have a definite idea, so it's not going to be establishes. So, she speculates seems like the best answer out of these 4. And this is how they can trick you. Notice how if you're just reading this and you just look at one of these words, like demands, and you fill it in, she demands that humans will someday have to be able to live in other environments. That makes sense. Like, if you didn't understand the context, that seems fine. So you have to make sure you understand the context of these questions every time. So there we go, speculates and predicts. Great, so once again, we're going to apply this formula every time. You're not looking at the answers. Step 2, you're going to read the passage looking for clues. Step 3, fill in the blank with your own guess. Step 4, look for answers using your guess and clues. Good luck.